Hola, bom dia. Carl Munson here with the Good Morning Portugal show from expatsportugal.com. How are you this morning? So many of you queuing up to say hi, which is absolutely lovely, of course. And let's go to you now before I tell you what I have in mind for the show this morning. It's a busy one. Sometimes I think, Monday, ooh, I haven't thought of anything to talk about. I never need to worry about that because always something important and useful comes, and a little bit of fun as well every Monday morning. Serious subject this morning, of course, to return to in a little while, which is, we're well and truly into the fire season, if I might refer to it as that here in Portugal. And obviously, if you're looking at mainstream media, which some people don't bother to do, interestingly, these days, pictures of what looks like the world aflame at the moment, forest fires, wildfires going on all over the world. We have that to face here in Portugal, and let's do that practically and positively, as positive as we can be in those sort of circumstances. So I will return to that with the excellent help of Safe Communities Portugal. And you, of course, those of you who are coming here, how best to prepare and avoid those sort of situations. And those of you who are here to have a plan in the event of such, well, God forbid, such a terrible situation. But yes, let's say hello to everybody. Lovely to see Andre queuing up very early on before we started with a nice "tá tudo," and I did my best to reply in Portuguese with "tudo, Andre, você, oi tu." I hope you're well, Andre. Thank you for being here so early this morning and being part of the community here. That's what it's all about. Bom dia to you, Antonio F. Again, another very important part of our community. Good morning to you, Antonio. I hope you're well. Tudo bem? Jim White, showing off, throwing in a bit of Portuguese. His Portuguese hat in the ring there. Fantastic, Jim from Baltimore. Bom dia todos. Daniel, bom dia. Have a good day, folks, from Jim. Lovely, Jim. Very good. How are you learning, Jim? What's your method? Bom dia todos. Down from Matthias. How are you? That's the first man caver in this morning. How was it on Friday? How was your expat man cave on Friday? I'm thinking I might like a little bit of a man cave murmur on a Monday morning. You know, the headline wisdom that came from you would-be elders in the expat man cave on a Friday night. So Andy, Matthias, Lee McGrady, of course, will be with us later on today for the gardening Q&A, head gardener McGrady. What did you chance upon whilst you were musing, whilst you were chewing the fat, shooting the breeze, having a beer together? What was the most profound thing that you might like to share with us? So let's have a man cave murmur from you this morning. Jersey, bom dia do lindo Portugal. In a few minutes, we're leaving to the Douro Valley. Well, you are very lucky people indeed, in that case, Jersey, and Mrs. Jersey, if I may refer to you as that. Thank you so much for making your presence known last week when you arrived in Lisbon. And I can only apologize for the circumstances into which you had to arrive. I believe you had at least a 3-hour wait to be processed in immigration, which doesn't make any sense, does it? I mean, come on, folks. Let's see if we can sort this out. SCF, it might have been the immigration border force on strike. I don't know. I don't know what the circumstances were, but really, Portugal, we're looking to recover well from the pandemic, okay? Put it behind us. And that's one of the main things, isn't it? It doesn't make any sense at all to inconvenience people like Mr. and Mrs. Jersey last week as they come into Portugal for the first time. Not least from a, customer experience. People visiting Portugal, let's make a fuss of them. They come in here to have a good time and spend their money. But why on earth, why when you have to go into a restaurant with a certificate, are you allowed to stand in an immigration hall with hundreds of other people for hours on end, who've come from all over the country with whatever variants they may have with them? Why would you stand them together for hours on end in that situation? So come on, Portuguese government, may I respectfully request that be processed and dealt with so that we can give people a good experience of arriving. You got to check who's coming in, obviously, make sure that their intentions are worthy, but let's give them a nice welcome, shall we? And let's reduce that public health risk. That doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. Okay, rant over, as they say, on that particular bit. And yes, let's look forward to you having a great time in the Douro Valley. My word, you've been moving around the country very quickly. So I think you flew into Lisbon, didn't you? And now you're up in Porto. Fantastic. And it sounds like you're having a great time, Jersey. So lovely to see your trajectory, your journey here on the show. As listeners in America, now here in Portugal. Fantastic. John Gibson, hey up, Jim, we need to have a chat, don't we? Bon dia from the hot and steamy Mississippi River, USA. That's not why John and I need to chat, you understand, because we're hot and steamy guys. Make a mental note there for the calendar. John, yeah, we need to talk. And amazing, the hot and steamy Mississippi River. That does conjure up quite a picture there. Good morning to you. Stephen Wells, another man caver who might be able to help with the man cave murmur. You see what I'm doing there, Stephen? Distilling 3, 4, 5 hours of man talk into a pithy comment. So if you could get pithy with me, that would be great, Stephen, this morning. Look, what did you come up with? Keep it brief. I don't want none of your 4 or 5 hour marathon business here on a Monday morning, but do let me know what came up as a man cave murmur. Gemini's here as well. Look, everyone. Good morning, everyone from Gemini, and equally Jacqueline CDM. I loved your picture of your goings on the beach there. I think it was yesterday, Jacqueline CDM. We need to talk as well, don't we? Bon dia todos with a couple of love hearts and a namaste emoticon. I always think of those prayers, isn't it? It's namaste. It's just one of the best feeling emojis going. I think the 2 hands together like that. Raining here in London, says Gemini. Well, I hope that improves. Yeah, you've had a real roller coaster ride of weather, haven't you? Giving credence to the whole idea of extreme climate change happening in London for sure, as well as all over the world. Mark Stoll, bon dia a todos. From Mark, how are you? Do tell us. Andrea Hogan, bon dia from the Netherlands. So a couple in from the Netherlands this morning. Good morning, Andrea. And Elra's here, of course. Bon dia a todos. Hey, Elra, how are you this morning? How do we say hello in Finnish, I wonder? Pilgrim Pods, bon dia, Pashosh. Good morning to you, Pilgrim Pods. Tell us more about what you do, Pilgrim Pods. Mark's here as well this morning. Fantastic. A nice catch-up. Lots of people in this morning. Great to have you here. Bon dia from a sunny Povo de Vagim this morning. That wonderful part of Portugal. I'm hoping to do an outside broadcast, maybe a live morning show with you, Mark, one of these days on the Green Coast there. Its praises need to be sung. From the Azores this morning, bon secunda. There you go. That's good, isn't it? We used to do the days before I kept getting confused about which day it was. Because, of course, it's the second day of the week, everybody, not the first, here in a calendar that has been created, really, by the church. Sunday being the first day, segunda today. Bon dia todos from Donna Magardo McLaughlin. Or did you say McLaughlin, like dear Lonnie? Lonnie, I will respond to your beautiful email to me. It was so good to meet you last week. Oops, pavor de vagin. We knew what you meant, Mark. Veggieholics, bon dia from a lot of you in this morning from the Netherlands this morning. Veggieholics, I guess that does what it says on the tin. Mrs. M was talking to me this morning about giving up sugar for a year and eating raw. I think she's onto something. Not sure I could do that myself, but I think she's onto something. Gardener McGrady, head gardener McGrady. Good morning, people. Have a great week. Looks like you have been, Lee. Wonderful to see your pictures. Having great family time. Beautiful, mate. It looks like you're having a superb time, and hopefully you can squeeze us in this afternoon. Totally understand if you can't. Jeff Jackson, bon dia todos from Jeff. How are you, Jeff? Sonia G as well, bon dia. No apologies needed. It happens. That's very philosophical and understanding of you, Jersey. Memrise for Jim, where he was flashing the Portuguese earlier on, and a little help from my friend Google Translate. Absolutely. Mama Bear, good morning, bon dia. I love waking up to watching your videos. Well, that's very kind of you to say so, Mama Bear. It makes my day. Really, to be here every weekday morning. I don't know what I'd do without you all. And while we're on that subject, what is the name for people who watch the Good Morning Portugal show? GMPers? I don't know. That's not a very good that's not a very good description for you, is it? The GMPers, is it? Just sounds like you need to get up a lot in the night. So what do you think that might be? I've got a couple of questions, actually. So, yeah, I want a man cave murmur. That was one of my questions. What do we call people who watch this show, apart from geniuses, of course, and the highly intelligent? But what's a nice little collective noun for you GMPers? And I'm going to keep saying that until you come up with something better. And who's the oldest, longest expat? And I don't mean like, as in age terms, can we find a centenarian who's an expat in Portugal? Because we may well be able to. Maybe. I mean, it's possible, isn't it? No, probably isn't possible to be 100 years old and still be an expat, because you'd have had to grown up at least a year somewhere else. Yeah, you could be. You could have spent 99 years here, your first one somewhere else. But who's been here the longest who's an expat? Do you know of such a person? I've had a few phone calls from people and emails saying, yeah, not like it's all very well, you Johnny come lately whippersnapper with your ex. I mean, people are very often very positive and complimentary about what we're doing. And I know they bring something else to the table entirely as well. Can you imagine if you've been here for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years as an expat in Portugal? You may have eschewed citizenship. Even if you've got citizenship, you're still an expat in some way, aren't you? So who do you know, and who can you put me in touch with the longest standing expat? So it's not the oldest. The longest is, and when I say the longest expat, it's like, yeah, this guy's 6'3". He's definitely the longest expat. You know what I mean? Who's been here the longest as an expat in Portugal? Like, we should chat to them, shouldn't we? They should have their own little feature on the show for sure. Actually, while I'm about it, well, I've got my piece of paper in front of me. I've got on here on a post-it note, God. It's in a moment of either gratitude, desperation, or whatever, when one's mind turns. It's not that God. It's the growing old disgracefully. That's not to say I don't have conversations with God, but in this context, God, growing old disgracefully. Note to self. I'm reusing my memos. That's not what I wanted to talk to you about this morning. But you should know that Ian Turner and I have got protracted negotiations on the growing old disgracefully program. We're going to run a little course together to keep, you know, like Mrs. M giving up sugar and eating raw. I don't think this is going to be anything as arduous as that. Ian's got a little bit of PE, PT, and probably some nutrition stuff in there. But how to still have fun doesn't, you know, with Mrs. M. Some of you know what she's like. You can be quite an extremist with these matters, and I don't think we're going to go raw and stop eating sugar in the Growing Old Disgracefully program. Some of you may be delighted to hear. Okay, but let me move on. So Battaglia, went to Battaglia on Saturday morning, Saturday lunchtime, turned into Saturday afternoon. Had a fantastic lunch with Jerry of the Expats Portugal, GL himself. He's like my CJ, isn't he? He's my GL. But that said, he didn't say to me, I didn't get where I am today, Carl, but I'm not meeting up in Battaglia for lunch. Although I suspect Jerry did get to where he is today by having some excellent lunches. What a brilliantly civilized way to do business and to talk about the business. Great to see you, Jerry. Great to experience Battaglia for the first time. What a place! Quite honestly, I've got to tell you quite a few things about that if time allows. So I'll come back to Battaglia. Quick sneaky peek of Battaglia. Look, have a little bit of this. It wasn't a very sunny day when I got there, as you can see from this photo, but look at that, isn't that lovely? Turning the B of Battaglia into a love heart. So we'll come back to a bit of Battaglia business a little bit later on. So we've talked about long expats, just mentioned Battaglia, GMPers, man cave murmurs. We're gonna move on to the serious business of fires. We've got an update on Alvin the Labrador. Hasn't gone quite as we would have hoped, but there is another plan in action if you were concerned about the blind old Labrador who is Alvin, who was discovered by the side of the road, I believe. So we got an update from Tony on him. Bless his face, bless his furry face. Not Tony, the dog I'm talking about. And tonight, of course, we are talking about rewilding on the gardening Q&A. It's so inspiring. I've got permission to show 2 videos. One about rewilding, the concept generally. It's based in the UK, one of the films that I want to show you, but it gives you the idea. And then rewilding in Portugal. They've very kindly given us permission to show a rewilding video from Portugal. If you're not moved by rewilding in Portugal or anywhere in the world, what is wrong with you? Honestly, watch it and see if you've become a very urban human being, and maybe you can get in touch with your tree-hugging wild self if you join us from 6:15 this evening on the Gardening and Q&A on the same platform. What's this? Web Motum? I don't even know what that is. Isn't it terrible when you make yourself a post-it note and you can't, I don't know what that says. Whoops. Oh, the webinar, motoring. There you go. This week's webinar will be, just so you know, just to get these notices out the way, so that we can chat a bit more together here. Yes, the webinar, this Portugal Calling webinar. Our webinars are fantastic, I have to say, and they're all on YouTube. This one this week, a very interesting subject, motoring, if you're interested in motoring. But there are people who love cars and motors and stuff. You know who you are. And then there are people who have to tolerate knowing something about motoring. I'll probably put myself more in the latter. So there comes a time when you need to know a few things, even if that's not a hobby interest of yours. So this Thursday is the night for that. All angles on motoring this Thursday, 7:30. And just to let you know, second Friday of the month, of course, coming up. Philomena's been in touch. Oh, and Gilda. Gilda's still on holiday, by the way. But Philomena first. I'll show you a couple of pictures from Gilda. That reminds me. But Philomena will be here on Friday, a feel-good Friday with Philomena. And she has been doing some research for us. She's been in Porto Alegre. It's going to be Friday the 13th, apparently, and it's a special thing in Montalegre. So we will find all about that with Philomena on Friday. Do tune in for that. It's going to be a lot of fun. Yes, Gilda. Gilda would be happy to be here with a visa update, but I feel really bad saying, yes, Gilda, see you at 9 o'clock on Monday, even though you're on holiday in the Algarve with your family. And there's your documentary evidence. I don't know which of those people are her family, but there is an Algarvian wispy clouds in the sky of the Algarve there. I think it's been a lot bluer subsequently, but it's still very attractive and pretty, isn't it? Look at that beach there. Barely a soul on it. That's the sort of beach you want to go on, isn't it? Far from the pictures, you know, those amazing pictures you see of Coney Island or Blackpool, where people are standing shoulder to shoulder on the beach. Look at that by contrast. Beautiful sky, beautiful beaches, the sand, just the sparsely populated beach experience you can have there. Thank you, Gilda, for those two. And I hope you're having a fantastic rest. Don't worry, though, folks. If you're thinking, well, never mind about Gilda's rest, I'm trying to get to Portugal. The team are hard at work in her absence in Lisbon. So don't worry about that. But we need to make sure that Gilda has some rest and recuperation. Let's have a look now. Before we start talking about the very serious problem of fires in Portugal, let's see what you've been saying. New Portuguese, that's in there somewhere. London calling, fantastic. We've got a lot to get through here. There she is, bon dia from the Algarve. I'd love to be on the show, but don't have the conditions. Lots of noisy kids here. See you next Monday. Absolutely, Gilda. Seriously, enjoy your holiday. Lots of love to you and the family. You take it easy and enjoy yourself. Recharge your batteries. And we'll see you next Monday. Back in the office, I think. Okay. Andrew Bryant, bon dia, finally in Portugal, loving it. Well done, Andrew. Tell us more, my friend. That sounds fantastic. You know, as the show has developed, as the community has grown, we're getting so many more of these wonderful stories of people who were once listeners and viewers elsewhere, and now they're here. Just as Andrew says there, in Portugal and loving it. IPAS, what's that? Ipali, hashtag Ipali in Portugal and loving it. There's our hashtag for the day. Ipali in Portugal and loving it. Tell us more, Andrew. Where have you, if you want to? I don't like to pry. I do like to pry, but you don't have to respond. Missed Friday's man cave as we were at a friend's house for a barbecue. I expect they were talking about you, Matthias, but a good choice there, obviously. Barbecue at a mate's house, and now people are getting more and more out and about. John Gibson giggling, I think, about the hot and steaminess. Bon dia alegria de Ron in Cascais. Morning, Ron. How are you doing? MF, hello, and welcome to Portugal. That's to Jersey, I suspect. Michelle, good morning, Michelle. Bon dia alegria. Lockdown in Cairns for 3 days. Oh, dear. Will it ever end in Australia and New Zealand? Unbelievable, isn't it? Nigel Henry, lots of love to you, Michelle, and the family. Just starting to rain in Oxford. Oh, dear. And yes, Gilda there, bon dia from the Algarve. We will see you next week, Gilda. Marcos, bon dia, gente boa. Isn't that good, people? Good morning from Marcos. How are you, mate? Da Costa Diogo, bon dia de Norfolk. Yes, we were talking about Norfolk last week, weren't we? A lot of Portuguese people, perhaps thanks to Bernard Matthews, who was mentioned briefly last week. Hello, mate. How are you? Diogo, hope you're well. Tudo bem? Hello and finish. You can say mui or muika, but if you wish to be formal, terve would be correct. So there you go. Write that down, folks, for the next time you're in Finland or meet a Finnish person. Muika is very nice, isn't it? Donna, yes. McLaughlin. Okay. Not a but more of a for you, Donna. Thank you for clearing that up. Almost literally, right? Bon dia, Portugal, from Fiona and Simon. Thanks for your correspondence. I will get to you, Fiona and Simon. It's very exciting where you are and the position you're in by the sound of it. Good morning from Botswana. Have a lovely day from Pippa Young. Hola. What happened in the man cave stay? Oh, give over. What happens in the man cave stays in the man cave. Oh, and we broadcast it on YouTube for a whole world to see. Yeah, okay, that's more like it. Basically, it's too early in the morning to remember. Okay, I get you. But bear this in mind for next week on Monday. We want a man cave murmur, the wisdom that has distilled from those several hours of you drunkenly chatting with each other. Let's see if you can remember it. London calling from Colin this morning. Good morning, Colin. London calling. Morning all. Hello, Colin. How are you doing? I'm still blown away by Hakeem's work, I have to say. Bon dia, boa semana from Sarah MCs, Sarah Max, Ceramx. Ceramics, I don't know, but good morning to you, Sarah MCS. Thank you for joining us. Months and ears. The well-hidden months and ears. Nobody really knows if I've got ears, do they, with these on? Maybe I don't. Maybe I don't have ears. Maybe I have. Maybe I go to the shops in these. That's an interesting idea, Corey. Thank you very much for that. So at the moment, we have months and ears and GMP ears. I think we can improve on that, can't we? But an excellent idea, Corey. Thank you. At what point turns an expat into an immigrant? I mean, expat for 15 years should be an immigrant, right? Yeah, I mean, I used to be quite upset about this conversation, and because I was thinking, oh, I don't want to upset anybody, and those people get upset when you use the word expat. I feel less worried about it now. It's like it's what's meant by it, isn't it? I don't think any of us here are those sort of G&T drinking gated community type expats. I mean, they're the ones who they're the ones who wind me up a little bit. I mean, I choose not to be wound up about most things, but if there's a kind of expat that does your nutting, as it were, if I may use such a colloquialism, it's got to be the gated community type, right? The colonialist who comes to this community to get what they can and not give much in return. Arguably, that they might say, they're investing, and even their gated community means jobs and investment. But I don't like that imperialism, that colonialism that continues through the expat world. But we also need to get over ourselves a bit. It's just a word, and what is meant by it is someone, in my world anyway, moving from one country to another. And call yourself what you like. It's just it's going to be a massive and expensive rebranding exercise. This is the bottom line, literally, is to call ourselves Immigrants Portugal. It's going to be a massive rebrand, and also it just doesn't sound right, does it? This is Carl Munson on the Good Morning Portugal show from Immigrants Portugal. There's something about the word expat that's useful, and there's also, like with anything, there's always a downside, isn't there? There's always a dark side, a shadow part to it, and I totally get that. But I don't think we have any intention of changing our name from Expats Portugal to Foreigners Portugal or Immigrants Portugal. And yeah, I get your point. I mean, really, after 15 years, 30 years, you might consider yourself a local. But at the same time, the truth is you have come from somewhere else. And I would just love to hear that perspective from somebody who's been here the longest. Can we find that person? Do they even want to speak to us? MF, Portugal has no crypto tax, so I'm coming to Lisbon in January. Now, we do have a group. We have, as you would expect, it's not Telegram. What's the other thing that you crypto folks like, or us crypto folks like to use? I shouldn't distance myself from that. But the privacy, Signal. We have a Signal group, MF, if you want to join that, where people are talking about blockchain-y type things and crypto. So if you want to join that, let me know, and we can share that with you, or somebody else might do that from the group, which would be a great help. It's not, there is no capital gains tax on crypto, so as it were, here in Portugal. But I think that the thought is, as soon as you turn it into a cash capital gain, cash it in, then there is something payable. So be careful with that. Is what I would well, not advice. It's not for me to give it. I'm a signposter, not an advisor or consultant in this capacity. I am a consultant, and you can employ me on a very different basis if you like. But what we talk about, what we chat about on the show, it shouldn't be taken as professional advice. We're talking about things. We're trying to point you in the right direction and come up with some useful guidance and support from the knowledge and community that is Expats Portugal. Wouldn't it be nice if you all called yourselves New Portuguese? Yeah, that sounds good to me. From Midlife Crisis World Tour, again, a pretty straightforward YouTube name there. I think we know what you're up to. But yeah, the New Portuguese, perhaps. That's an interesting one. Thank you very much, MCWT, if I could call you that. Bon dia from Houston, Texas, from Shauna. Hi there. Good morning to you, Shauna. Luke Guest here also. There's no such thing as an expat, only immigrants. There you go. It's been settled once and for all. Thanks for that, Luke. Morning, Luke. I'm here in England 20 years, mate, but was born in Lisbon 60 years ago. Does that count? Well, that's amazing. I mean, that is amazing. I had you down as a 20-year-old bloke. The energy of your contributions, I would have thought you were only 20 or so, 30 or so, Diogo. And you've been in England for 20 years. That's quite incredible. Are you going to come back, do you think? Fiona Worrell, morning all. Hello, Fiona. Elra, someone that has been putting up with Portuguese shenanigans for that many decades, has earned the right to call himself Portuguese if he so wishes, says Portuguese Elra. So thank you for that. I like the idea of growing old disgracefully. Don't worry, Jacqueline, we're going to be doing that. Some of us already are, right? New Portuguese would cause a divide. The olds and the news. Just Portuguese is good. Oh, okay. That's interesting. Thank you, Elra. Sarah Yerman, wouldn't say I'm hooked on GP, but I did find myself waking up on time for the live stream every morning when I went back to America for a visit. Wow. If you're listening onto the live stream in America, you have a special award for that sort of dedication. But thank you, Sarah, for that comment, and thank you for tuning in. Really, really appreciate it when you are in that time zone. Sandra Marks Webster, bon dia from the lovely Silver Coast. I'll just raise my Good Morning Portugal cup to you, Sandra, and have a little sip of coffee. Stand by, everybody. Oh my goodness, that's tasty and much needed this morning. Jacqueline Branco, just popping in to say hello. Oh no, she's going to stay for a little while. A very good morning. Hope you had a good weekend. Here's to a great new week. Thank you, Jacqueline. JB, thank you very much for that. Oh, David Durham. Jacqueline, we will meet at some point. David Durham, hola amigos. There's another person like Jim in Baltimore. Tuned in from America. Absolutely wonderful. Enjoy Gilda. There's a double meaning to that. We should enjoy Gilda and her wonderful professional services, but I think that's more like enjoy yourself, Gilda, and relax. David, what time? Time check, please, from you. Hello, lovely peeps from Garvo. Hello, mate. How are you? Hope you're well. No milk. Excuse me, no milk for a cuppa this morning. So walking along the river to the shop. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so you're listening on your smartphone. That's great. I called Gilda's team and there is no answer. All right, David, we can look into that. Absolutely. And emailed. Okay. I'm sure Gilda, if she's still watching, will be on the phone to them herself. Answer the phone. With the fires here in Portugal, people may buy bottled water and energy bars to give to the nearest fire station. That's a great shout out, Jacqueline, and suggestion. Come back to that. As soon as we've got through your comments this morning, it's already past. Good morning here from Malaysia. A couple of questions. Is there a Portuguese food for any new coming expat immigrant to try, and what would it be? And what food do you miss back home? Obrigado todo. Well, John Raphael, I'm sure people will respond to that. I'm going to tell you about a lovely restaurant I found in Batalha, for one thing. And actually, that's what I would say. Go somewhere. Enjoy the whole vibe, not just the food. And I got a great recommendation for you, John Raphael. Good morning to you. No, good evening to you in Malaysia. Greetings from sunny. No, wait, rainy. No, wait, sunny Harrogate. Yep. Wow. You can see the grass growing in God's own county there. Good morning, Paul. Good morning, Carl from Torquay, from Jackie Polly. It's sunny in Torquay, in Torbados there. Fantastic. Lesson from the man cave is muzzle your dog, if you know what I mean. There is a euphemistic sort of angle on that by the sound of it. Thank you, David. The man cave murmur so far, muzzle your dog, if you know what I mean. Sounds good in Latin. GMP Portupeeps. Clanky Clive. So GMP Portupeeps, I think. Also a suggestion for those of all of you. This describes you all, so you need to be comfortable with it. Carl, Seth, call us aliens. Yes. Good morning to all you aliens here this morning. A giggling of listeners are collecting. I'll go with that. Wow. A capital, maybe. I'm not sure what you mean there, David. Is that what you would like to call us? A capital of GMPers there? And where are we? Okay, please, folks, hold up on the comments for just a minute. We've got to address the serious matter of wildfires in Portugal. Bon dia todos from Andrew Gilchrist. Good morning to you. And from David Durham there. I'm a Portupatrigrant. Well, there's a mouthful. And you want to be careful saying that. I mean, it's not easy to say in the first place, but a Portupatrigrant is a very good compromise there. A nice fence-sitting position. How about a porty? That's nice, isn't it? A porty. Buzzing bee, keeping courses booked. Okay, so are you a beekeeper then, Fiona and Simon? A beekeeper's apiarist, is that right? Very interesting. I liked you. I've copied and pasted or shared your rather sweet picture of a beehive and a different way of collecting honey in the Happy Homesteaders group on Facebook. My client bugged. Sorry, capital gains only ever applies when you sell or get interest or dividends. There you go, says David. And that's what I'm talking about. Yes, I'll get back into Portugal, mate, next year if I get there, says Diogo. John Smith, bon dia para todos. Hey, John, how are you? Good morning to you. Bon dia a todos. Can you travel to Portugal from the UK without quarantine time on landing if you've not had the vaccine? Can someone else answer that, please? I don't know. It might change by the time we get to answering the question. Again, what's the current situation for DJ there, if we can help with the hive mind there? Simone in Cape Town, good morning. Looking forward to coming back to Portugal soon, and we're ready for you. I'm thinking you might be in Cape Town, Simone. Replies from Portuguese. Remember that there's PST. Portugal. Is that Portugal time? Okay, yes, indeed. Well said, Andrew. Here I'm missing the cod with all, mate. Okay, so yeah, it's bacalhau. For you, John Rafael in Malaysia, bacalhau, you got to try at some point. Aluzo. Aluzo. Okay, that sounds a bit too much like loser, doesn't it? But yes, I get what you're saying there. Loser files, I quite like that as well. But when you say loser file, it doesn't sound so great either, does it? For obvious reasons. I'm Portuguese, of course you are, Andy Gilchrist. Have you got a man cave murmur for us, Andy? Sorry, it didn't register with me that you were that and Andrew. I mean, I just know you under all these pseudonyms now. You know, Portuguese, Andy, Andrew, man cave bloke, or I could be Portish as well. So there's that too. Thank you, Gary. Very creative this morning. John Raphael, too many to count. Bacalhau Barrage. Cogida a Portuguesa might be a bit heavy. Yeah, is that the one with some seriously hard to identify pieces of meat that have been steamed or boiled? Alheira, yes. Chicken sausage. Arroz de marisco, that's one of my favorites. Feijoada, bit heavy. Bife de atum, tuna steak. Too many to remember. Thank you, that's a great start. And thank you, Antonio, for making my mouth water. Yes. In Cape Town, also Portuguese. Well said, John Smith. That's from Simone. My understanding is 2 weeks quarantine if not vaccinated currently. Is that right? Thank you, John Smith. Portuguese feijoada. Yes, I've set too many hairs coursing here, haven't I? Cape Town, the same latitude as the Algarve, similar climate. Well, hey up, Max. Good to have you here this morning. 2 jabs and a COVID test or an antigen test if you have not had the jabs. 12 days of lockdown. So there you go. I think we've got your answer for you there, DJ. Bon dia. What happens when your 5-year temporary residence coming to an end? What then? Hopefully visiting Donkey today. He helps clear land for fire protection. Good boy. Not you, Will. Although, yes, good boy, Will, as well. Well, I see. Do you think you become Portuguese at the end of your temporary residency and you become a citizen? Yeah, I get that, Will. Technically, legally, you can apply, obviously, after 5 years. But still, the person I want to know, I want to speak to, I want to find out who the person is who's been here the longest as somebody who's come into the country as a foreigner originally. And there are people who've been here long before. You know, I have had comments and I think phone calls or conversations with people who remember 1974, being with their parents or something like that in 1974. And they're the people who've seen some amazing change here in Portugal, right? That they will be amazing people to speak to. Khadija Anderson, I have to answer, DJ. If you don't have a vaccine, don't come. Oh, come on, Khadija. But seriously, yes, we do know you would say that, Khadija. But seriously, you won't be able to eat inside restaurants currently without a vaccine card. We were in Lisbon last weekend and we were carded. Yeah, that's just at the weekends as well, though, Khadija. In the long grass of all of this, and you know my position on this. I'm not going to show papers to have a coffee. All right, I just draw the line there, and I pay the price. I'll sit outside. But it's only at my local. It's just, he said, Friday nights and the weekend. It's the weekends only for the carding and showing your papers, right? So it is a little bit complex, but I think we've got you an answer there, DJ. And yes, ideas and representations from every possible part of the spectrum of thought on this. Khadija there, yeah, if you're not jabbed, don't come. Gary Austin, I'd like to congratulate Andrew for holding his arm up for over 3 hours on Friday night. Was he holding up a microphone? Bless him. That's amazing. Might have a sore arm this morning, which is usual for him. Mate, the Brits came with the Romans, and the Brit was and became the Lisbon Archbishop in 1212 when King Afonso Henrique Conquered Lisbon. Okay, so yeah, we get long-standing. I mean, yeah, it's all nonsense in the end, isn't it? All these lines on the ground and these flags and nationality and passports and stuff. It doesn't make any real sense, but it's all the agreements we've come to over these years, isn't it? But I think I've really opened a can of worms there. And what I wanted to talk to you about was fire safety. Luso is a luxuriant place that you have to visit, guys. It is. Luso is fantastic. Lisbish or Lisbonian. Thank you very much. It's not getting clearer, is it? We will travel by car from Netherlands. Nobody is vaccinated or will do a test. That's going to get Khadija going, isn't it? Okay, please stop talking now. So silly that the vaccinated don't quarantine. Only infected and recovered with mucosal IgA responses are safe. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely will. It doesn't make sense. We will stay in our bubble. Yes, well said. This isn't quite where I was expected the conversation to go, but you know me. I just thought Gilda's team was on vacation too, or out to lunch or whatever. I'm not in any hurry. Well, then calm down, David. It's just the American way, isn't it? I phoned and you didn't answer. It's slightly different here, David. You will get good service from Gilda's team, just maybe not in quite the way you anticipated. Thanks, Nigel from Facebook, for the answer. DJ, there you go. Daddy's farm life. Keep safe, friends. Absolutely. Keep safe. Keep sensible. Keep sensitive to each other's needs, but don't get preachy and impose yourself on other people, right? Living here 32 years, but in total 39. So there she goes. She's so far. Well, then we definitely need to meet up and talk. Jacqueline, wow, 32 years. From government website, there you go. John Smith is putting from the horses, from the governmental horse's mouth. Fantastic. I'm not sure I like the sound of this. A gaggle of Munsonites. It's too big a responsibility. I'll be accused of starting a cult, which I'm not averse to, I have to say. Keep those checks coming in. David, and the uniform will be issued soon. David Durham, be patient. I just need to register as a charity. David, just joking with all of those last three things I said, by the way. David Durham, be patient and persistent, and you will get through. There you go. We're counselling each other this morning. I'm sore this morning, but for an entirely different reason. Oh, dare you say more? Papers, please. Yeah. Culture reminds me of East Germany. Well done for resisting the madness. Cheers, Max. And just, it's a personal view. I'm not saying it's what anyone else should do, okay? The science is simple. If passports are to indicate non-infectious people, vaccinated people don't qualify. Only recovered convalescent people are 99.5% risk-free. No passport for the jabbed if logic is used. There you go. He's absolutely right as far as I can tell. Don't shout that out, Stephen. We're going to get there, though. One's vaccination should not be for public consumption. Well, that's what I say. My vaccination status, like my sex life and my religion, are none of your business. Unless I choose to talk about it with you, it's none of your business. And I don't want to know your business either. What someone's, what you do with your orifices and injections and this, that, and the other. What someone from Hong Kong called Hongkonese, possibly. Hongkonese, that sounds like fun. Good morning, Carl, from Luke and Sarah's Off-Grid Life. Elra, as if being Jewish, gay or black was contagious. Okay, yeah, well, that's a good point. That's a very good point. There is the contagion angle, which always destroys a few arguments, isn't there? Well said, Max. Oh gosh, come on, let's bring it back, folks. We learned that David needs to learn to slow down, didn't we? And we got to help him with that. Carl's judgment on things always sound and trusted. Well, for some, Max, I can only say that, and I really don't mean to be a spokesman for anybody except myself, and perhaps for my family. And my children, who is my right to impose my values and stuff on, such that they rebel against it when they can. Thanks, Kajida from Facebook. However, a friend of mine was double jabbed and caught COVID. It happens, doesn't it? I used my immune system only and didn't catch it. Go figure. Okay, everyone. I've got 20 minutes to go, and I've got lots to talk about. Let's not go into that right now. There's the forum for that, which Jerry won't thank me for. Luke and Sarah's Off-Grid Life. Morning to you, for Molly and Timmy included. How lovely. Good morning, Matthias from Luke and Sarah. Right back at you. Elra needs to read further. Okay, I'm just gonna ignore these for now. although it's calming down. Although I suspect it will flare up again in a minute. Soreness is down to a 4x4 safari in the hills of Padern. The guy was a former rally driver. Also, you're sore all over by the sound of it. And DJ thanking John Smith and Facebook. And Elra and Max you two have that chat while I do something else for a minute, okay? I think we're all adults and able to have a civilized conversation. Absolutely right. We pride ourselves on that here, don't we? Us this giggle of GMPers. Okay. Yes, and absolutely right. I have my opinion. You have yours. That is absolutely right. That I will preserve that here as a way of being. We are okay. Thank you, Andy. I will preserve that here. I want people to be respectful, and I want them to be legal. And apart from that, we are grown-ups where we will exchange and discuss views. Okay, serious matter then now. And I refer to, well, actually, let me show you. This is what prompted it yesterday. I was in the garden yesterday, and I looked up to the hills, and this is a chilling sight when you're in Portugal, when you're living here, and you see smoke in the distance. Okay, and you think, oh no, what's happening? You know, this is another wildfire. I hope the Bombeiros have got that under control. And as Jacqueline says, do please buy bottled water, energy bars for those volunteers, basically, who are managing these situations. And I thought to myself, you know, we really must do something about this to help people prepare. And what better place to turn than to Safe Communities Portugal, who remain a much less opinionated place to find out information than myself. And I will show you now what they're saying in a very timely way about the fire situation, okay? And this is their Rural Fires Daily Self-Protection Checklist. Things to think about, ways to prepare in this season of wildfires, of forest fires that can happen in Portugal. And actually, the first thing to say is if you're thinking of coming here, this is a country where this happens. Okay, there are wildfires here, and I think always have been. And there's the whole politics, of course, of, you know, the types of plantation that are especially susceptible and the economic imperatives that drive that. But let's just go with what we've got, is that fires do happen here in Portugal. And, you know, it's not going to help, is it, to have a political argument about why they happen? That's for another time and place. This is what to do to avoid being in a difficult and dangerous situation, and what to do if you do find yourself in a difficult and dangerous situation, in conjunction here with Safe Communities Portugal. And I'm sure you will be adding things as well. So here's a basic list which can be applied for all those living in rural areas, but it's essential for those living in high-risk fire areas. To check if your area is a high-risk area as defined by the IPMA, the body that deals with such things, check below. So do excuse me, your daily checklist. 1, check the IPMA daily fire risk for your municipality for that day, or obtain a daily email sent to you to inform you of the risk. Now, isn't that a good service? Now, for those of you who are thinking of moving here, that's obviously good intel, isn't it? To make sure you're not moving to a high risk area, or if you're used to that, you know, some people have grown up with this in various parts of the world and know how to manage and prepare themselves in a proactive and safe way for such an eventuality. But I mean, you know, why court that? Why not avoid areas of high fire risk, especially in this day and age? And you can do that by going to the links that I'm going to talk about this morning. Monitor fires in your area. This is number 2 from them, through the ANEPC dashboard. That's also a link that I'm going to share. Or fogos.pt, which is automatically linked. Okay, so fogos.pt is my go-to, fogos.pt. So when I saw that picture on the horizon, or the picture I'm sharing with you, when I saw that scene on the horizon, for my own, I mean, it's some way away, but for mine and my own family's safety, I thought to myself, okay, let's check fogos.pt. Let's see what's happening with this. And I was able to see from my phone, I mean, if I go to the image now that I'm telling you about, I was able to see how many personnel were on the ground, how many airplanes even, and what the state of where the fire was, whether it was, you know, if I tell you now, when I looked and did a screenshot to share with people yesterday on the Good Morning Portugal Facebook page, I could tell there are 46 personnel on there with 9 vehicles and 1 airplane. It had started at 12, just after midday. The first dispatch was at 12:20. It was reported as ongoing at 12:40 and in resolution by 13:26. That changed. I think the wind got up and it started again. And you can see how it's updated. And you can, I mean, you've got your visual on the horizon there, as I had, and I could see that it was subsiding from what I could tell from the smoke anyway. But I was being updated by fogos.pt. Really, really good resource. fogos.pt. Okay. Remember your action plan in the event of a fire. This is number 3 from Safe Communities Portugal. And it's good to have one of these, right? Ensure your emergency kit is ready and in a handy place. This is your grab bag, isn't it? You know, your change of clothes, your overnight stuff, water. Add to this. Think about it. I mean, take time to think about what you're going to put in your grab bag. Have it somewhere handy. Think about your route, your safest route out from where you live. I'm sorry if this sounds dramatic, okay, but these are things worth thinking about, and you'll be glad you did if you find yourself, God forbid, in such a terrible situation as we do have and have had in Portugal. Okay, so get your grab bags ready for the whole family. Talk to everybody in the family unit about what to do in such an instance. Know where you're going. Maybe have a bit of a system where, you know, you've got a few buddies who you can turn up with, or, you know, a hotel to go to in the town or something like that, or at least a public place to go to that is safe. Know where you're headed rather than just driving like a headless panicked chicken. And obviously in these sorts of circumstances, you could find yourself quite panicked, right? So have a plan. Know what you're going to do. Remove any objects that could block access by fire services. That's a good one, isn't it? Vehicles and so on. You need to have the fire services be able to have access to where they need to do the firefighting if necessary. Keep your phone charged, of course. Good advice anyway, isn't it? But keep your phone charged so that you've got the juice, got the battery, and plenty of juice in your phone so that you can use it as your lifeline. 7, if you have friends, family staying with you and you are going out, leaving them there, check they are aware of the action plan too. That's a good call, isn't it? Permanently display emergency contact numbers, including 112 in a prominent place. This is especially useful, I think, for those of you who've got AL licenses doing Airbnb. You need to take that into consideration. Yeah, your duty of care for guests who might be with you. Create an action plan of what to do should a fire break out. Practice it. Where there is an emergency assembly point / collective shelter, display the map to it. Prepare an emergency kit and keep it handy. And as to reiterate there, in AL accommodation, ensure tenants are aware of action to take in case of fire. Okay, your duty of care towards anyone staying with you, friends, family, paying guests, whatever, of course. List of high-risk areas. Let me put these now into the comments so that you can do what you need to do to find out what is more or less dangerous. Actually, yeah, this is not as easy as I thought it was going to be. I'm going to open these up one by one and then cut and paste the links for you. Do please add anything to this that you think I might have missed. All right, very important information this morning. So here's the first one. This is about, let me just pop that in there and I'll tell you what it's all about. That is the list of high-risk areas. That's just gone in. The ANEPC monitoring as well, which you should be aware of. I'm also going to put that into the comments next. This is all really helpful stuff provided by the government and you know, civic authorities. So this as well. These are all useful links for you. Okay, so that one in there as well. Next one is going to be the daily risk fire download. All right, let me just pop that in as well for you. Fogos.pt. I already mentioned to you, didn't I? fogos.pt. That's my go-to for sure to find out what's going on, you know, to keep on top of what's happening in the country with regard to any fires. Let me just, that should be in there for you now. The IPMA daily fire risk. The daily fire risk download. Fogos.pt. Let's pop that in as well, just so that we've got a comprehensive and encyclopedic awareness of what you should know and be aware of. So let me just pop that in the comments as well. And I'm going to come back to your comments in just a moment. Anything else that I should have? Yeah, action in the event of fires. And finally, this is Safe Communities Portugal. Thank you so much for doing what you do, guys, and allowing me to sort of improvise on your theme that you've provided here. But this is their more specific guide finding information, fire prevention and protection during fires. That's going into the comments as well now. Okay, so I think we've just about covered it, apart from anything that I'd like to pick up on that anyone is saying about this in the comments. Let's do that. Let's go back over your comments that you've been putting in and see if people are still arguing, if people are still having a pandemic debate. Let's see. Soreness down to the 4x4. Yes, okay, we know why Andy's sore. Okay, yeah, let's talk about fire prevention now. So we've done that. I have my opinion, and I'll uphold everyone else's right to be wrong. Very good. I politely disagree with you. Bon dia. I've got a complaint. Good Morning Portugal isn't long enough. 90 minutes or 2-hour shows, please. We used to do that. And I mentioned, okay, I'm going to have to cut it down to 30 minutes. And it's like, I think everyone just laughed. We seem incapable, don't we? About an hour is about right? I've got to do the showbiz thing, Capricorn. I'll let you into a secret. Leave them wanting more. That's the thing. Have a business invention plan if anyone interested. I have a business invention plan if anyone interested. A water tank on flat land that provides pressure as if it was at height. Automated water sprinkler protection could then be attached. Well, of course, that sounds amazing. Diogo, I'm taking OCs from England to plant them for the future. What does that mean then? Ockers, is that a particular kind of plant that you want from England to plant in Portugal when you come back? Ipma. Could somebody extrapolate that for Maxine, please, in the comments? That would be great. Kay Cooper, I think, is appreciating our efforts here. Ipma weather is the weather forecast. It always, you know, I've watched those Ip Man martial arts movies. It always reminds me of that. But yeah, Ipma is a kind of meteorological, climatological. It is the Instituto Português do Mar e Atmosfera. So yes, in short, weather. It's very dangerous to ask what was discussed in the man cave. Lol. Coming back to that. Antonio F., thank you very much for doing that. Yeah, Instituto Português do Mar e da Atmosfera. And this one should be the ANEPC as well. So everyone's working collectively here. Isn't that great? We've stopped falling out and we're falling in together here to provide the right information. I need to have a little sip of coffee. There's a lovely big silence for anyone on the podcast. Pam's here, everyone. Watch out. Bon dia. We were house hunting in 2005. It's been a very dry year, so lots of fires. It definitely influenced Pam's choice of property, as you're seeing there. Living near the forest looks very nice, but we didn't want the risk. Yeah, and when it happens, when you smell the smoke in the air, it's really scary. When I first came to Portugal, we lived in central near Tomar. And it was 2017, a terrible year for fires here in Portugal, where people perished, sadly. And in the midst of that, seeing it on TV, could smell smoke in the air, see smoke on the horizon, you know, in the distance. And I just got the family in the camper van and we drove to the coast. I was so freaked out. And this is it. You know, when you're new in a country, you are on alert a little, aren't you? You on the one hand, wow, it's great to be here. You're enjoying yourself. And then if something goes a little bit wrong, you don't have your normal wherewithal, do you, to cope with things necessarily, and things can get out of hand. So we got freaked and we left Tamar and the interior and headed for the coast. And that's another story. But yeah, totally appreciate what you're saying there, Pam. David Dawson, I understand many of the firefighters here are volunteers. Does anyone know of a legitimate place to donate to them? David Dawson, great question. And it would appear that, well, Debbie Burton down in the Algarve, I don't know where you are actually in Portugal, but Debbie Burton, I believe, yeah, does amazing fundraising, and that definitely gets to the Bombeiros. Some cheeky rascals sometimes pretend to be fundraising for the Bombeiros. And I've heard of this. You know, there'll be a roundabout and you'll slow down and they'll say money for the Bombeiros. Everyone's got to make a living. But sometimes it's not for the Bombeiros, and I think maybe that's why you're asking for a legitimate place to donate. Go to your local Bombeiros. What better place? Take some water with you. Take some energy bars. There are things they want that you could buy specifically, and then you can make sure you know your donation is used absolutely as it should be. But I would start at your local. You know, show up, say you're interested. It's a good look for an expat, I think. Gary Austin, if you're trapped in a house in a fire and you can't get to an exit, it's useful to know that some double glazing units simply lift out which could make escape easier and maybe even save lives. You're right, Gary. That's right. They lift off on the hinges, don't they? So well said, sir. Something you might gratefully remember. God forbid again, but if it saves your life, what an amazing thing to remember in a time of need. Have a carpet pad on a long stick. When wetted down, is much better than olive branches the locals use. The Highland Scottish way. A carpet pad on a long stick when wetted. Oh, that's for tamping down the blazes, is it? So a wetted down carpet pad. Interesting. Lots of useful things coming out this morning in this awkward but necessary conversation. Yeah, go to the local fire station, says Antonio F. Agreeing with me there. Raquel, bon dia, Carl. John Raphael, question answered with James Blick on Spain Revealed channel. He has 9 delicious spots in Lisbon to visit. This can start you on your great tour in Portugal. Enjoy your stay. There you go, James Blick on Spain Revealed. So isn't that great? They're in your face, Spain. Spain Revealed actually ends up in Lisbon. All roads lead here. Max Flight pre-symptomatic transmission does exist, though, which makes the no asymptomatic argument ridiculous. Strimmers can only be used with plastic string, not metal disc cutters. More great info coming in. Thanks for that, Nigel. Ipma, thanks, Pam. I think we're on top of that one now. Apparently, it's the eucalyptus trees that cause big problems for fire. The leaves can be blown away, taking the fire with it. Absolutely. David Dawson, if possible, avoid donating online. A couple of years ago, we had a big fire. Many people died. Says Elra, Portuguese people got together and donated online. Last I heard, the families never saw that money. That is disgraceful, isn't it? That is disgraceful. And hopefully there are better ways of getting money to the people who need it, to the Bombeiros and to the people who suffered in these situations. If you're leaving home due to a fire, do you need to inform anyone? I'm thinking to save the Bombeiros trying to find you to evacuate. Well said, Fiona. Yeah, report yourself as to where you are once you've got safely to where you're going. If people only pass it while symptomatic, then everybody has been passing it around knowingly on purpose. Really, the continued pandemic discussion. David Dawson, thanks to Elra for her information there. Living in central Portugal, fires are a part of life here. However, since 2017, the Bombeiros have made huge improvements in firefighting with better equipment and more training and resources. Yeah, it's a shame, isn't it? It takes a tragedy, but it often does to improve things. And you make a very good point, Gary, which I was trying to make at the beginning. If you're moving to Portugal, you have to take this into account. This is a country where fires are a part of the life. The scale of them is debatable, but that they happen here is unavoidable. Okay. Who do you report yourself to? I don't know. Maybe telephone trees are useful in this regard. Yeah. You know, having a network, at least among yourselves, and then maybe you can do a mark safe on Facebook as well, can't you? That has been a useful thing with Facebook, I think. It's spawned many good jokes as well. Yeah, marking yourself safe, making a social media post, it all helps, doesn't it? But I don't think it's A1 priority. Getting to safety is, and then saying you're safe is probably the right approach to that. Khadija, I honestly appreciate the European attitude that it's okay to discuss different views. Obrigado. Cheers, Khadija. Is that the European attitude? Interesting. And yeah, it's certainly what we try to uphold here. Respectful, legal. Apart from that, pretty much anything goes. Okay, 1 minute to go. Still got a lot to do. Thank you for your input and your forbearance with that discussion on fires in Portugal. I should segment that, shouldn't I, and put it up as a separate recording, I think. Just quickly then. Oh, we've got Alvin the Labrador and we've got Battaglia to talk about, haven't we? So very quickly then, and we'll finish with Alvin, the Labrador, with an update on him. And actually, no, I'll do that now because that's fairly straightforward. Here he is, bless him, blind Labrador found by the side of the road. Crapper, yes, I did say that for those of you unused to hearing that at this time of the morning. Crapper, the animal welfare dog rescue place. Took him on board. Tony Aston writes, on Friday I took Alvin. Well, the backstory is fundraising began to help Alvin have a cataract operation. Okay, and here's the update on that right now. On Friday I took Alvin from Crapper to Vetoeiras, south of Lisbon, left at 9 in the morning and got back at 6, a long day. He behaved great in the car and at the vet. To recap, found blind at the roadside, had 2 appointments at a vet hospital in Caldas, and a series of tests showed he might be eligible for surgery to remove the cataracts, but further specialist consultation and tests would be needed. To go any further, we needed to raise funds. We got a fantastic response and raised 1,900 euros. Isn't that amazing? On Friday, I met the consultant, Kristina Seruka, and she began to assess him. Normally, this would be 2 appointments, but she agreed to do it in one day as we traveled some way. The final complex test was electroretinography to assess the state of the receptors at the back of the eye. And unfortunately, Tony, very sad to report that Alvin had no response. This is a genetic problem. First, they lose night vision, then gradually go blind. The cataracts are thought to have come on later as a secondary. Sadly, there is no treatment. No way could the Caldas vet have known this. Only the ERG can diagnose. This leaves us with several issues. Firstly, Alvin, then the donations. Immediately, Crapper contacted the group Blind Dogs UK, who took a blind Cerodestrella from us, Frankie, and Will. We know you're involved with Frankie. The talks are ongoing. Secondly, the donations. The Caldas vet cost, the Lisbon consultation, and the ERG total comes to around 200 euros. He will need sterilisation, vaccine, chip, and passport to go to UK if agreed. It looks like he couldn't get into that much trouble with re-sterilisation, but I guess you know what a randy dog's like at any age, I suppose. To enable him to travel, we would like to pay for transport. However, all of this will come to a total of less than 1,000 euros. So if anyone who donated specifically for Alvin's surgery would like their money refunded, which I understand, you contact Crapper, crapaa.animal@gmail.com with details, and that'll be arranged. We do ask to do so within 10 days as we need to see what remains in his account and settle invoices. Sorry to report this and hope you understand. So there he is. There's Alvin. The plan now, as it would appear, is to send him to somebody who can cope with a blind dog in the UK. Those of you who donated to that, please let Tony know what you want to do if you're happy for your donation to be repurposed in that way, because it looks like surgery will be a waste of time for him. But God bless you, Alvin, and all the people at Crapper and Tony for taking on board this creature's plight. What a lovely story. What a lovely side of humanity that we can share with you there. So briefly then on Battaglia, and then we'll finish with comments because they've been thick and fast, your comments this morning. Let's have a look at where I went. Yeah, Battaglia on Saturday. What a place. That's not a representative photograph, I have to say. The sky was blue. The sun was hot. But on arrival, it was a bit windy and cloudy, as you can see there. I've only got 3 kind of weird and random pictures to share with you. This one from the public conveniences. I share this with you because, I mean, where in the world can you come out of a public lavatory to be faced with such extraordinary architecture? The Battaglia Monastery, look at there, there's the interior. I mean, it's just absolutely magnificent. And another understated treasure. Battaglia is fantastic. It's obviously all built around the monastery as a cathedral monastery, as a tourist attraction. A great plaza, piazza, restaurants, cafes, ample parking, free Wi-Fi, just off the IC2. I mean, I drove there on the IC2 because I love that road, and that's all part of the road trip basically to get there. But what you've got to go! I can't believe I've been here for nearly 4 years. And I've been to Battaglia. I've passed it at night and thought, wow, that's an incredible building. Hold on, let me just get a bit more coffee before we finish. Oh, that is good, even though slightly lukewarm now. Yeah, past it at night, and a beautifully lit monastery cathedral, and it is amazing. But to actually go there, you please do it. Please go to Battaglia. And to share with you, coming back to John Raphael's comment, let me share with you the wonderful restaurant that I ate at, and did that thing where we shared fish, me and Jerry. We had a fish big enough to share. And it was awesome. It was a sea bass, a beautiful sea bass, John Raphael. I mean, eat fish in Portugal. Portugal does fish so well with simple vegetables, some of them punched potatoes, which I thought was an act of cruelty when I first came to Portugal. But yeah, beautifully cooked potatoes, salad, and vegetables alongside this magnificent piece of fish. Drinking alcohol beer, that's a whole other comment and conversation. Need to talk to you about alcohol beer at some point. You know, I know some of you are already saying, what's the point of having that conversation? A contradiction in terms, but I do want to talk to you about that. A couple of nice alcoholic beers. A beautiful dessert as well. I had a panna cotta with forest fruits. And these guys, if I just show you their website, please go to Battaglia, to the monastery, as you can see in their photos there. Incredible restaurant. This is the Burro Velha, the old donkey. If you were opening a restaurant, would you call it the old donkey for fear of people thinking that that's what you might be serving up? Maybe that's the name of the chef. old donkey or the owner. That's his nickname or something. But let me show you some of the food here. Look at that. I mean, these people, they know how. I mean, to me, eating out in Portugal is great. So invariably at every level, cafes, simple restaurants, more complex, complicated, a bit more upmarket like this. This was all that I'd come to love and expect about Portuguese food, raised to another level. And I'm just going to scroll through these so you can see some beautiful pictures of food. Apparently, they did a deal as well. If you buy a test, a COVID test, they give you 2 beers. I don't know whether they're offering the tests or you just show that you've had a test and you get a couple of free beers. But ask them. Go see Burro Velho, I beg your pardon, Burro Velho in Batalha. And this is good. I like this. This is the chef and probably front of house here having a bit of fun with a fire extinguisher. You know you're in good hands when a restaurant is deeply professional and excellent, and they have fun as well. And they were really, the service was superb, highly professional, very slick. A little bit of humor as well. And look at this, Batalha. There's obviously at times a wonderful vintage car. Look at that. Wouldn't that be a great day to go there? With the old vehicles there. I'm not sure what they are. Members of this community would be able to identify those beautiful vehicles. But seriously, go check it out. Burro Velho, the whole Batalha experience, absolutely wonderful. I think I've managed to squeeze everything in this morning. We're just going to finish now with your comments. Looking like a 90-minute show. Whoever wanted that, it's coming true. Okay, so very quickly then, comments, reporting yourself. I wonder if everybody having a pesticide backpack sprayer with 30 liters of water in the back. Would it be 30 liters? All autumn local rapid response. So another idea there with fire management. Thanks, Will. Check out the videos with Carl and Frank, Food on Expats Portugal. The channel has videos from all regions as well. Go check them out. Thanks, Raquel. We really enjoyed doing those. Those with land need to be aware of the rules on clearing land. Well said. Thanks for fire information and websites from Paul Richards. It's a pleasure and a duty, really, isn't it? Pesticide backup thingy could be useful. I had to use a ton of 5-litre water bottle bombs to save the local cafe. A backpack sprayer would have been easier. That's a good call, Will. Worth thinking about. And investigating. I think there does need to be a way to tell authorities you have left your property, as Bombeiros are sent to dwellings to check people are safe, or to tell them to leave, which is wasting their resources if you and family have already gone. Very good. But they probably would have to do that anyway. Even if you say you've gone, they probably need to double check, don't they, in their duty of care. Not sure what to do about that, especially if your property is rural. But there's room for some sort of, we live in the perfect digital age, don't we, for making that clear. Where people are, maybe with a pin location as well. Isn't it amazing that humans have less quality care than animals? Actually, a good thing, I reckon. I was thinking that, that if a human being was in a similar situation to Alvin, would the same resources and love be mobilized? I sometimes think not, Andrew. I often heard bad rumors about Crapper, but volunteering there and meeting Tanya and the other volunteers and the welfare of the dog, it's an excellent shelter. So yes, well done for finding out yourself. I want to say there, expat life, expat communities, it can be gossipy, can't it? And that's not the best of us, is it? People bad-mouthing each other and organizations. And Will did the right thing. Go find out for yourself. Go speak to people yourself before trading on opinions on the mealy-mouthed, mean grapevine of expat life. That is not the best of us. Going out, finding out for yourself is, though, which you Will did there. Thanks for the show. Cheers, Michelle. I'll see you in the morning. 6 o'clock, right? Batalha, for me anyway, not for you. Batalha is my favorite monument, says Elra. Well, I'm glad. We've got that in common there, Elra. Mate, I'm talking English oak and plant them for the future. Okay, the OCs are the English oaks. Yes, the Sobrero. Not the cork oak, the English oak. Good call, Diogo. Wouldn't that be wonderful? Like the man who planted trees, that wonderful story by Jean Giono. If you were the Portuguese man who planted trees, English oaks in the Portuguese landscape. Wow. I guess you mean no alcoholic beer rather than not alcohol beer. Yeah, as in sem álcool, cerveja sem álcool, as I've got used to saying now. It is... I'm fascinated by it because of obvious reasons. Giving up the booze, I do like the quenching nature of a cold beer. So it's work in progress. Batalha has some good concerts in summer on that Piazza there. Fantastic, Pam. Andrew Gilchrist, Elra chatting. If the show is ending, then my vote goes for months and years. I can't do that. But I'm just reading Tony's comment here. I'm flattered, Elra, but it's got to be something more to do with Portugal than me. Carl, following your blunt revelation last week that we're all going to die, I am seeking a second opinion. Morning, Tony. Out of context, that sounds dreadful, doesn't it? My blunt revelation. Yeah, when I am a cult leader, of course, I will be saying things like this on a regular basis. But yeah, it was to do with just very quickly, the Silver Coast group here in this part of Portugal has the Grim Reaper on its cover photo. Like, you know, be careful. One slip and I'm going to get you, the Grim Reaper. You know, stay careful. And in a moment of flippant action, which I'm prone to, I have to say from time to time, you know, I just said, look, come on, enough already with the Grim Reaper. Let's realize we're all going to die one day, but in the meantime, can't we just love life and love each other and get on with it, and maybe a little less attachment and focus on the fear mongering? Tony responded brilliantly, as you can see here. So he's seeking a second opinion. How's that going, Tony? And thanks, mate. Really appreciate what you're doing for Alvin. I hope you think we've done him proud with getting the word out. I think it might be time to do a wine club special about pink port. Nice. Nice. Anyone up for it? Anybody want to join Gary in a pink port? Do like the Queen and have a flag raised when you're home. Or be like the Queen and have a flag raised when you're... Yes, that'll go down well, won't it? Oh, I see. This is a fire thing. Okay. Yes, obviously fire retardant flags will be needed, I think, if that's what you're talking about, Andy. But I think the firefighters just have to check for themselves, don't they? They can't take your word for it, because it would be on them if they didn't make their own assessment. Happy new week for all the best. All stay safe from Diogo. Thanks, mate. Evacuation, have a sign you can leave on the track, drive, saying Bombeiros, we have fully evacuated. You are a cult leader here. True, it would be a lovely world if people could learn to get on with others and be kind. Yes, absolutely right, Gemini. I think we've started the week well, haven't we? We've had serious moments. We've had moments of compassion. We've had moments of disagreement. And still, here we are in one piece, facing the week ahead. So, boa semana to you all. And we'll see you tonight at 6:15 for Rewilding. Please join us for that. It's absolutely so inspiring. Rewilding is in its own way a fire prevention tactic, because, you know, it's right what somebody said. Andy, was it? Plantations are like tinderboxes, aren't they? Monocultures don't serve humanity especially well. And, like, you know, we know it's down to the, you know, follow the money, honey, and you'll find out why. But the mixed indigenous forests of Portugal, like you will see in Luso, as somebody mentioned before, Marcos, if you go and see an ancient forest in Portugal, there might be a bit of eucalyptus in there now, but it's very mixed, and I think it weathers wildfires so much better, being mixed, and that's what the rewilding is all about. Very inspiring. Maybe see you at 6:15 for more of that tonight on the gardening Q&A. Thanks for the show from Shauna. Thank you, Shauna, for your patience, forbearance, and attendance this morning. Matthias will try to be there tonight for the wilding thingy. Yeah, absolutely. You can see it on catch up if you can't make 6:15. And Alvin says thanks, Carl. Oh, so let's finish with dear old Alvin. There he is. Bless his furry face. Cheers, Tony. Thanks, everybody, for being here this morning. An innuendo of listeners. That's about right, isn't it? Thanks for the show, Carl. Have a great one. You too, David. All the best, everybody. Have a great week. And let's see you again soon, one way or another. Abrazos, beijinhos. Ciao, ciao.